Hello students. So here we go with the continuation on a discussion of e-treatments. So moving on with the final classification in the e-treatment, that is the surface hardening. So in the previous sections we have discussed the e-treatment for a bulk material, means the whole volume of the material is hardened by the process which we have discussed. Okay, so if you take annealing or a normalizing or hardening process, in all those things, if we require a strength, okay, or if we require a ductility, or if we require a machinability, so the whole specimen is phase transformed in order to get a different properties. But some cases, say for example, if you take a gears, okay, or a surface of any table, there only the surface of the component comes in contact with the other surface. Okay, so at that time we require only the hardness at the surface, but the core should be tough enough in order to absorb the energy. So in those cases we cannot adopt, okay, whatever the conventional hardening methods what we discussed. Instead of that one, so we go with the methods where only the surface is hardened to get a wear resistance. Okay, so those whatever the methods which we follow will fall under the category of surface hardening methods. Okay, so what are the different methods which we normally use? Okay, again we classify them into chemical and thermochemical methods. So in the chemical methods, okay, so only the chemicals, okay, are added in order to get the surface hardened. But in the thermochemical, so both, okay, so heated up and the chemical process is followed with the heating of the surface to get the hardened surface. So what are these surfaces, okay, and what are these chemical and thermochemical process? So we'll see one by one. Okay, so already we have even we have discussed a few things on the hardenability also, where when we talk about the hardness, it is to convert the surface into the martensite, or it is to increase the carbon content in the surface. Okay, so by these two methods, so one can increase the hardness of a surface or the whole specimen. So how we are going to change these things, we'll see one by one. So as we told in the introduction, so here, so we get a few applications where only the surface should be hard. Okay, in turn it gives rise to the wear resistance. Okay, so where the core, okay, so here we talk about the surface in terms of a, sorry, the component in terms of the surface and the core. Okay, the outer surface which is exposed to the atmosphere, and the one which lies at the inside of the surface. Okay, so here, so as I said, many application, where it comes to the gears or a pins or a piston or a camshaft or the cylinder. Okay, where, so if you take a gear, only the outer surface will come in contact with the other gear, or if it is a pin, only the outer surface of the pin will come in contact, or a piston, only the outer surface will come in contact, and a camshaft, only the outer surface. See here, if you take the application of a gear or a camshaft, only the outer surface will wear out. Okay, and the inner surface should be enough strong enough to withstand the load, but only the outer surface will have a wear resistance. Okay, so in these cases only the outer surface of the specimen is hardened. Okay, so this saves the money also, the expense which we are going to incur during the hardening of the process. and depending upon the what you call the application requirement. Okay, so only the surface is hardened means even we are going to save the time also. Okay, the time which is required for converting or transforming the phase into the martensite and getting that hardness. Okay, so even the time as well as the money, so both can be saved. So if we go with these method where the application requires only the surface hardening process. Okay, so the hardening of these surface is, as I said, is termed as a case hardening also or a surface hardening also. So case means so just like a mobiles and all, we use like a mobile covers, we called as a cases. Okay, mobile cases. So where it is going to, so the case of the mobile is going to prevent all these. Okay, the inner components of the mobile. The similarly, so once we harden this surface, so that is going to prevent. Okay, so the wear out of these inner core with respect to the outer surface of that one. Even we can use these surface hardening methods for corrosion resistance purpose also. Okay, so where only the outer surface of the component is exposed to the atmosphere, so which will be getting corroded with these formation of oxides and all. So in order to reduce that one also, so we can go with these methods. Okay, so what are the different methods normally we use? As I said, so we have two different classification. Okay, once again to remember, chemical and thermochemical methods. So in the chemical methods, so we have a few. In that one, first one is the carburizing. Okay, in a chemical method, first one is the carburizing. So as the name itself indicates, carbo means the carbon. The carbon is diffused into the surface of the steel. So where the surface of the steel gets hardened due to increase in the carbon content, and this increase in the carbon content in turn will increase the prone to form the martensite. When we are going to quench the surface, so it will be what you call faster to form the martensite. That is what we said, like in the hardenability. Okay, the factors which affect the hardenability is, one is the composition and one is the carbon content in that one. Okay, so when we increase the carbon content, so formation of the martensite will be a bit faster, so which leads to the hardening of the surface. Okay, so here when it comes to the carburizing is nothing but so diffusing the carbon atoms into the surface of the steel. Okay, so by increasing the carbon percentage, so there will be formation of the martensite will be increased. The probability of forming a martensite will be increased, and these diffusing of carbon atoms can be controlled with the help of a temperature as well as the time. Okay, so how we'll see. So in a low carbon steel, martensite formed is low because of a lower carbon content. So in such cases, more carbon is added to their surface. Okay, say for example, if you go for a high carbon steel, okay, so there we are going to have the carbon throughout the, that is a throughout the volume is a high. So instead of that one, okay, so we will go with the low carbon only, but only the surface will be hardened with the increasing the carbon content in that one. Okay, so that will maybe will adds up. Okay, so it will decrease the money which we are going to spend it for a high carbon steels, and it will increase the productivity as we go with the only the hardening of the surface. So how exactly we're going to do that one? Okay, so these steels are surface are enriched with the carbon. Okay, with the regular hardening of our heat treatment methods. So where the surface is hardened and the interior of that one will be tough enough in order to have the load capacity. Okay, so carburizing is the term method of increasing the carbon content of the surface. Okay, so as the surface increases, okay, so we will surface is enriched with the carbon, so it is we are going to get a hardened surface. So how exactly we are going to do this one? Okay, so carburizing, carbon is raised at the surface, is raised at the surface to increase the hardness of a material. So how exactly we are going to do? Okay, so even in the carburizing, so we have a few methods. Okay, so depending upon the medium which we use to enrich the carbon content at the surface, so we classify the carburizing into three. Okay, one solid carburizing, liquid carburizing, and a gas carburizing. Okay, so again, as the name itself indicates, you can see, okay, in a solid carburizing we use a solid materials, okay, which are rich in a carbon, and in a liquid carburizing, so we are going to have a liquid bath which is rich in a carbon, and in a gaseous gas carburizing, so we are going to have a gas which is rich in a carbon. Okay, so once we have an atmosphere which is rich in carbon material, so in that one, so whatever the specimen we want to get a surface hardened, so it is transferred to that atmosphere, and there will be a concentration gradient between these carbon rich atmosphere and the specimen which you have kept. Okay, so now when we have a concentration gradient, the atoms starts diffusing from one surface to the other surface. Okay, so this will be controlled with the help of a temperature as well as the time. Okay, you can see it here. So this is a container. Okay, so this is a lid. So we'll open this lid, and you can see here we are going to have a solid carburizing medium. So this is the one, you can say like a charcoal. Okay, so which is rich in a carbon, and we have a specimen. Okay, so this is a regular shaped specimen, and this is a high section, and this is a irregular shaped. I like that. Okay, means why we have provided a different shapes of the specimen here. So we can see here the diffusing of the atoms throughout the specimen is a simple here. Okay, so we'll get a uniform thickness throughout the specimen. But when you have a I section, or when you have a rectangular cutout in that one and all, so getting the carbon content, that is a uniform case hardening at these edges. Okay, these sharp edges is a difficult one. Okay, that's a one disadvantages. Normally we are going to get it during the pack carburizing. So why we say pack carburizing? So it is packed, these specimens are packed, okay, with the help of a solid carburizing medium. Normally the solid carburizing medium will be of a charcoal or a material which is rich in carbon, which is rich in carbon. So this is how exactly we're going to have this solid carburizing. So what are the things which are going to have it in the pack carburizing is, so we're going to have a 2CO, so which will be dissociated into CO2 plus C, that is a free. Okay, so where we are going to have the medium as a wood charcoal and an energizer such as a barium carbonate. Okay, so we are going to have 80% of a charcoal, and in order to act as a catalyst, okay, so we are going to have a barium carbonate which will be 15 to 20%. Okay, so these charcoal, so will liberate the carbon rich atoms. Okay, so which again in turn diffuse into the surface of the specimen. So now when we look into the advantages here, so this is inexpensive because we need not spend more money on the what you call charcoal and all. So skilled labor are not required. You just take a charcoal and put the specimen into that one and pack it. Okay, so heat that one to a particular temperature if you want to speed up the process. Okay, so we will end up with the carbon atoms diffusing into the surface. So raw material is easily available. Okay, the one which we use, that is a wood or maybe the charcoal. Okay, so that will is easily available in order to use that one as a medium. So what are the disadvantages? Okay, so larger floor area is required because we need to pack that one. Okay, and we need to interchange whatever the mediums which we are going to use. Okay, and laborers, so time consuming operation because we need to pack those components carefully. Okay, so it takes a time to load and unload the things. So accurate and uniform depth cannot be achieved. As I said, so if you have a irregular shape of a specimen, so there we cannot have a uniform depth. Okay, so mechanization is difficult because so these packing and unpacking all those things requires a human labors. Okay, so mechanizing or automizing this one is a little bit difficult. So handling carbon gases is injurious to health because so whenever you are going to remove the charcoal or whenever you are going to load that one, okay, so there will be a dust, okay, so which may cause a health issues with the labors. Okay, so that's how exactly we can talk about a uh, pack carburizing. Okay, or we can call that one as a solid carburizing also. Okay, so where we are going to have a carbon rich material. Okay, so along with that one the components are packed and it is heated up to a particular temperature to speed up the process. Okay, but only the handling this one, loading and unloading and packing these things will cost. Okay, so in order to have that, so instead of when we talk about the things in a laborious manner, okay, so it costs with respect to the labors and the loading and the unloading. Okay, so when it comes to the raw materials and all, so it is inexpensive. Okay, so moving on with the second category in the carburizing, so we have a liquid carburizing. Okay, so the previous one is a solid carburizing. So here we are going to have a liquid carburizing. Okay, so liquid carburizing. So here the specimen is dipped into a molten salt water which is containing 70 to 80% sodium carbonate and 10 to 15% sodium chloride and 6 to 8% silicon carbide. You can say carbonate, chloride and carbide. So all these things are rich in carbon. Okay. So the specimens are immersed in this bath which is containing these three materials which is heated up to 850 degrees Celsius, which is heated up to 850 degrees Celsius. Okay, so here this is a non-toxic one. Okay, so where we are going to get the reaction as a SiC, that is a silicon carbide, plus a Na2CO3, that is a sodium carbonate. So which will leads to Na2SiO3 plus Na2O, which is comes out as a slag, plus 2CO plus a C. Okay, so there will be carbon atoms which are liberated. So you can say like a sodium carbonate reacts with the silicon carbide to produce a carbon and a carbon monoxide. Okay, so means these carbon atoms starts diffusing into the surface, so which is dipped into the molten bath. Okay, so if you look into these things, okay, the way in which we are going to do this one. Okay, so here we have to heat up the liquid bath. Okay, so which is containing these chemicals. Okay, so which will dissociate to gives rise to the carbon atoms which in turn diffuse into the components which we are going to dip into that solution. So the other products includes oxide silicates, sodium, which will be formed as a slag and which can be removed. Okay, so sodium chloride is added as an activator. So that's a very important. So in each and every chemical reactions and all, so we need to have an activator or a catalyst. Okay, in order to speed up the process. Okay, so when we talk about the reactions in that one, okay, so liquid carburizing is also done by immersing a steel specimen in a molten bath containing sodium cyanide as a carburizing, but here this will be a little bit toxic in nature. So here again we are going to get a CO2 plus a C, the free carbon. Okay, the CO then decomposes to nascent carbon which absorbed by the surface. Okay, so when we talk about the advantages here, so uniform case depth are obtained because the liquid will get penetrated throughout the each and every, even if it is a irregular also, so the liquid will get penetrated into the even irregular shape of the specimen. So rapid rate of penetration of a carbon. Okay, so the time which is required in a solid carburizing, okay, will be more compared to the liquid carburizing because the diffusion rate will be little bit faster in a liquid. So high thermal conductivity of molten baths, it reduces the time taken. If you use the the uh, the molten baths which are having a high thermal conductivity, the heat transfer rate will be a bit faster and the process will get at a faster rate. So freedom from oxidation and shooting problems. So the dust and all will not be there. So it is a clean process. You just dip it and take out and use the component. So what are the disadvantages normally? So gases involved are poisonous. So whenever we are going to eat these chemicals, okay, the gases which are evaluated from that one, so we'll be having the poisonous in nature. So part must be thoroughly washed after retrieved. That's a very important thing. So once we are going to dip and take it out, the parts should be washed thoroughly, okay, carefully in order to have the chemical free surfaces. So regular checking and adjustment of the bath composition is necessary to obtain a uniform case depth. Say for example, you have prepared one liquid bath, okay, so you have dipped one say like about some 10 specimens. So after 10 specimen, you need to check the concentration of the liquid bath. Okay, so before carry outing. So if the concentration of carbon is getting reduced in the salt water. So dipping of these specimen, so will not get what you call, the carbon atoms will not get diffused into the surface. So as there is a deficiency of carbon atoms in the liquid bath. Okay, so each and every time you need to check the concentration of carbon atoms. So before dipping of the specimen into that one. Okay. So on the third one is a gas carburizing. So we have seen a solid, a gas, this one liquid and a gas. So now, so when it comes to the gas carburizing, so we are going to create an atmosphere. So where we are going to have a carbon-rich gases. So by with the help of hydrocarbon such as methane, propane, or a butane. Okay, so along with the carrier gases. Okay, so these gases are heated up to a 900 degrees Celsius. Okay, so again the temperature is going to control the diffusion rate of the carbon atoms into the surface, okay. So here the diffusion rate will be little bit faster compared to the gas, sorry, the liquid and the solid, because the movement of the atoms will be bit faster in the gaseous forms. So what are the advantages normally? So needs lesser time, okay, less labors, so less injuries to the health, okay, less floor space. So eating is more rapid and uniform, better control of a case depth, and operation may be mechanized. So you just need to have a closed chamber where you are going to create this atmosphere, and you just pass these components into that atmosphere for a particular time and a temperature, and everything will be taken care. So, but what are the disadvantages? Slightly more expensive, because you need to have a particular space which is a closed and maintained at a particular temperature, okay, and particular composition of the chemicals. So better equipment needed to handle the gases. As the gases are poisonous, we need to have a closed chamber, okay, so which will not be having any leakage, okay, and which may lead to the fire hazards also, okay. So you need to take care of all those things or to handle these poisonous gases, okay. So that's exactly we can see the carburizing. So back carburizing, a liquid carburizing, and a gas carburizing. So if you see here, so depending upon the shape of the specimen, okay, and the accuracy what you need, okay, in each process, okay, or the specimens which you are going to harden. So on those things, one can go for different methods in the carburizing. Okay, so moving on, so we have a what you call the post treatment for a carburizing. Okay, so carburizing is done on austenite region directly. Quenching leads to the hardened both on the surface. So sometimes what will happen, the even the core get hardened. Okay, so such a carburized steels are not recommended to use directly. Okay, the core should be again tempered before using that one to the practical application. Okay. So that's how exactly we can discuss about the carburizing. The next method in the surface hardening is a nitriding. Okay, so as the name itself indicates, the nitrogen atoms or elements, okay, are induced into the surface of the steel, okay, so which will get hard and fear resistance, okay. So what are those the elements which forms the nitrides, okay. So we can go with the aluminum or a chromium or a molybdenum or a vanadium or a tungsten, so which form a stable nitride particle, so which again leads to the liberation of these nitrogen atoms, and which leads the diffusion into the steel surface, which gets hardened. So how exactly we can do that one? Okay, so you can say here the specimen is heated to a temperature, so about 500 degrees Celsius, and held considerable duration in an atmosphere of a gaseous nitrogen. So we can see here the gaseous atmosphere will be consisting of ammonia, so NH3. So at 550 degrees Celsius, it will dissociate into 2N plus 3H2. That is a nitrogen and a hydrogen particles, or maybe the elements. So these nitrogen atoms will diffuse, leading to the formation of a hard surface at the surface of a steel. Okay, so we say that one absorbed into the surface of a steel. Okay, nitrogen particles. The holding and that depends on the desired depth and the size of the specimen. So already we know even during the heat treatment. Okay, so the whole thing depends on the size and shape of the specimen. Time required for a case depth of 0.5 to 0.7 is at 10 hours. Okay, little bit more. Okay, so nitriding develops a very high hardness, that is a 70 HRC. So we can say here compared to the carburizing also, the nitriding surfaces will have a more hardness. Okay, so very important thing to be noted in here is so after nitriding, the surface will not be able to machine the surface will not be able to machine it using any machining tools. Okay, so that much will be the hardness which you are going to get it during the nitriding process. Okay, so now what are the advantages? So nitride parts are ready to use because there is no further retreatment like a quenching which leads to the cracking or distortion, a very high hardness, so good corrosion resistance, good wear resistance, and retains hardness up to 500 degrees Celsius. Okay, so there will not be any change in the hardness, so as the temperature changes. So long heat treatment cycle. So because it takes a 10 hours only for a 0.5 to 0.7 mm thickness, it takes a 10 hours. So one has to wait for a long time. So in order to get a smaller case depth. So special alloy steels have to be used. Okay, because see the nitride particle should when they get diffused into the alloys, other steel alloys, there should be an alloys which are going to form a stable nitrides like aluminum nitride or a chromium nitride or nickel nitride like that. Okay, so we need to have a high alloys which should be present in the steels before having a nitriding. So because of this longer cycle and a special alloys, the cost which is involved in the nitriding is a little bit high. Okay, compared to the carburizing which is readily available. Okay, and the next is a combination of these two. Okay, that is a carburizing and a nitriding. So we call that one as a cyaniding. Okay, cyaniding where we are going to have a carbon and a nitrogen particles. Okay, so this is a little bit toxic where we are going to have a liquid bath, so which is containing sodium cyanide. Okay, which is heated up to 860 to 960 degrees Celsius, little bit higher temperature. Okay, so we can see here 2 NaCN, so plus the oxygen will give rise to the Na2CO3 plus a CO, that is carbon monoxide plus a nitrogen. Okay, so again this carbon monoxide will give rise to the carbon particles in that one. Okay, so where the combination of a carbon and nitrogen, okay, will leads to the formation of a hard surface on the steels. Okay, so now what are the advantages when we compare these two? Okay, carburizing with the nitriding with the cyaniding. So very useful for components requiring a very thin hard cases, very thin. Okay, so means the case depth which you are going to get after cyaniding, it will be very thin and uniform. So provides a cleaner surrounding. Process is quick and not laborious. Case depth can be controlled well, suitable for both low and as well as alloy steels. Okay, so even we talked about carburizing where we talked about a low carbon steels are enriched with the carbon at the surface. Nitriding, we said it is used for alloy steels where they are going to form a stable nitride particles. So when we use a cyaniding, we can use for both low carbon as well as a high alloy steels. Okay, so what are the disadvantages? Sodium cyanide is a very poisonous. Okay, so suitable only for a case depth which are less than 0.25. If it is more than that one, so it takes a longer time. So instead of that one, so wherever it is required to have a case depth which is very much thin. Okay, so then we go for a cyaniding. Okay, so these are the what you call three important methods. So normally we use it for a chemical methods. Okay, so one carburizing, nitriding, and a cyaniding. So where one can take any one example and they can tell what are the advantages and disadvantages. Normally we get it. So moving on with the second category, that is a thermochemical process. So here we have a first method as a thermal process itself. So where the first category we call as a flame hardening. Okay, so where it is heated up and quenched, okay, simultaneously to get a hardened surface on the surface of the steel specimen. So the pictorial representation of a flame hardening looks like this. Okay, so where we can say, so this is the specimen, okay, and this is a carriage which carries a torch and a water, which carries a torch and a water. And now if you see here, the process is going from right side to the left side. Okay, so this is already hardened surface, and this is the surface to be hardened. Okay, so which is moving this side. So you can see the water is situated, okay, so beyond the oxyacetylene flame. Okay, so you can imagine here, so this is the oxyacetylene flame which is used to heat up the surface. Okay, and this is the water which is sprayed on that one. So we have seen the hardenability curve where the surface which is exposed after the heating, that is a quenched end, will be having a prone to form the martensite at a quicker rate. Okay, so the carriage is moved in this direction. Okay, so the heating and quenching unit is on the carriage, and the flames are obtained with the help of oxyacetylene burner, and the cold water which is at a normal temperature is sprayed on the heated surface. So once we are going to move that one, so we are going to get the surface which is hardened and quenched. Okay, so to get a martensite. Okay, so even now, so depending upon the quantity of the flame which you use in order to heat this surface, and the rate at which we are going to move this carriage on the surface, and the amount of water which you are going to spray by using the nozzle, so everything are going to control the process. Okay, so how much depth you want, and what is the quantity of martensite which you are going to get it on the surface, all those things are controlled by these process parameters. So when we look into these things, so as I said, so we are going to use the oxyacetylene flame to convert the phase which is present into the austenite. So then that austenite is quenched to the room temperature to form the martensite. Okay. So when we have a flame hardening, so we have a few categories in this one. So one we have a stationary flame hardening. Okay. So one is a progressive flame hardening, and one is a spinning, and one is a progressive spinning. So what are these things? So when we say a stationary flame hardening, okay, so both the workpiece and the heating torch are stationary. So quenching is done separately. Okay. So progressive flame hardening, as the name itself indicates, progressive means so heating torch moves over a stationary workpiece followed by a quenching. And a spinning heating torch is stationary while the workpiece rotates. Okay, so to cover the whole surface of the workpiece, the surface will be rotated. So progressive spinning, so both means so the torch moves as well as the specimen rotates. Okay, so depending upon the size of the workpiece and the shape of the workpiece, so one can adopt any one method of these flame hardening in order to have the surface hardening. Okay, so moving on with the next one will be the induction hardening. So induction hardening, here the type by which we heat the surface will be different. In the previous one we used the oxyacetylene flame. So here we are going to use a induction method. Okay, so in order to heat the specimen. So you can see here the induction coils are surrounded surrounding the specimen, and the specimen is at the center of the or in the space provided inside the induction coils, and at the bottom side we are going to have a spray ring, okay, which sprays the water. So you can say water is supplied and water is sprayed over the specimen. So the bar is fed from top to the bottom. So the specimen or the surface of the specimen is getting heated up with the induction current which is produced, okay, with the induction coils, and it is simultaneously quenched at the downward to get the surface hardened. Okay, so here, So the thing here is the frequency at which the current and these induction coils are placed will determine how much depth we are going to get it in order to control the case depth of the specimen. So induction surface hardening involves heating the surface of the component by electromagnetic induction. The specimen is passed through the induction coils, so connected with the high frequency. So when the high frequency current passes through the induction coil, a high frequency magnetic field setup, this magnetic field induces eddy current in the specimen, so which leads to the heating up of the specimen. Okay, so the high frequency induced current tends to travel at the surface of the metal and is known as a skin effect. So depending upon the frequency of the current, so which is going to flow through that one, so it controls the depth which you are going to get in the surface of the specimen. So you can say like the frequency ranges from 10 kilohertz to the 500 kilohertz, and the temperature ranges from 750 to 800 degrees Celsius. Means the specimen will be heated up at a faster rate compared to the oxyacetylene flame. So what are the advantages? The process of hardening can be very quick. So depth of hardening can be controlled by accurately with the help of a frequency. So operation can be made automatically. So disadvantages, the cost is high. So irregular shapes are difficult to handle. Okay, specimens of ferromagnetic metals can be induction hardened. Okay, so only the specimens which are of magnetic in nature, so those materials are induction hardened. So low carbon steels cannot be hardened because they are non-magnetic in nature. So high maintenance cost. Okay, so once we see, okay, so the different types in the surface hardening methods, so depending upon the size of the specimen and the shape of the specimen and the application, so where the specimen is employed. Okay, so though depending upon all these methods, so one can choose the variety of surface hardening methods. Okay, so whichever the method they want, depending upon the advantages and disadvantages which are provided with respect to the each method. Okay, so that completes the heat treatment process. So till whatever we discussed in the this module. Okay, so starting with the heat treatment, the classification, and the bulk and surface hardening heat treatments. Okay, so thank you.